we need to also be comfortable with not being granted extra rights as well. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of MC Chat. Nicole here. I hope you had a great weekend and welcome to August. So today I'm going to talk about the quote disability card and what that really means. So when you have a visible disability, sometimes you might be offered opportunities that other people may not. For example, being invited to the front of a line when it's a bar or a concert, being let inside a bit early if it's colder outside. And in my case, I've been really lucky to meet a few celebrities that I will touch on in a bit. But the question often is this okay? Because on one side of the coin, we as people with disabilities really want equity. We want to be treated as our able-bodied peers. But on the other side of the coin, it's kind of nice to have a silver lining. So if you need to kind of deal with extra challenges in life, sometimes it's nice to get a bonus. But how do we balance those two concepts? In my opinion and experience, there's two main types of people. There's people who live with disabilities and their friends or caregivers or family who believe that their disability automatically grants them extra rights or privileges compared to others. The other group of people, which I feel I identify with, are those who kind of don't expect anything, but when it happens, we're not going to say no. And sometimes there are people who, even when they are offered those perks, let's call them, they will just pass them out or say no thank you because they don't want special treatment. I think that's completely fine as long as you are respectful and maybe explain why you're saying no, just so others aren't confused or don't feel you are being rude to them. Personally, I feel really uncomfortable with expecting to be given free things or extra access to places just because I'm a bit different than most people. I don't think that really gives me any right to um any of those things. But I think if someone is open and wanting to be nice, I feel kind of rude myself to say, oh no, thanks. Um, so I think really the idea is that we expect equity and that needs to go both ways. So if we want to be granted equitable employment and not have to deal with being condescended or um, having assumptions pushed on us, we need to also be comfortable with not being granted extra rights as well, unless those are to meet someone's unique needs. Now, there are certain cases, such as the Miracle Wish Foundation and the Sunshine Drew Foundation, which I will touch on in another video, but essentially these organizations grant children and youth with significant or life-threatening disabilities a dream. So imagine anything you want in the world, they will do the best to make that dream come true. And it really impacts the lives of those kids. But as an adult, I don't think we should expect that. Now, on that note, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, I thought it might be cool to share a really amazing experience I had, where I think my disability maybe came into play but wasn't the main aspect of the experience, which made it even better. So a couple years ago, a band I'm a huge fan of, Billy Talent, was doing a video shoot in Toronto, and there was a contest to be in it, and I entered like the very last second, and you had to send a video of yourself dressed as a 70s punk rock type person. And so I did that, and then 2 days before the shoot, I found out I won. I scrambled to figure out if the venue was wheelchair accessible, which, thank goodness, it was, barely, but it was. And I got to be in the video shoot for Louder Than the DJ. And it was an awesome experience. Aaron, who was the drummer and is currently on hiatus due to MS, was there filming, and he's one of my biggest role models, so I got to see him. And it was a great time. It was kind of like a free concert. Upon leaving, the security guard, who had been nice all night, asked, "Hey, I'm friends with the band. Would you like to meet them?" I said, yes. Long story short, I got to meet everyone in the band, and then Kolowitz, who was the lead singer, said, "Hey, you were at the show a couple months ago," which blew my mind. And so we actually started talking about some things he had done at that show, which were very feminist in nature and standing up against domestic violence. And we just kind of bonded, and they treated me like anyone else, which was amazing. I will never forget that night. A couple years later, Ben was in a play. I got to go to the play, and it just happened that night. All the actors were coming out to meet everyone, and he actually came out and remembered me and talked more. So it was a really amazing moment because he liked me for me and didn't really treat me differently. So I think that's kind of the goal, what I want to this in this video is that if you're just who you are, you can draw people in, and if you put positive energy into the world, whether or not you have a disability, good things are likely to come your way. So, hopefully you enjoy this content and my pictures. Give us a thumbs up if so, and don't forget to subscribe. And tune in next week to see the wonderful Chloe. Until then, take care.